So my world, that until then seemed so bright and full of promise, had come unstuck. It was for me a time for serious reflection. I realized how close we were to a mighty, irreversible Holocaust. But my faith in the good sense of my fellow Malaysians, that never deserted me. Because deep down, I knew that there were millions upon millions of Malaysians who were decent, God-fearing, and all they wanted and all they want today is to live in peace and harmony. Under a government that is just, fair, and inclusive. Unfortunately, those sentiments of 40 years ago remain largely unfulfilled, even as I speak now, because subsequent official policies have done little or nothing to create a sustainably united and vibrant nation, grounded again in justice and equity for all, not just for one community. Now, May the 13th could have been avoided. While I have no intention of turning these very personal remarks into a blame game, the evidence of political manipulation to pander to personal ambitions for power is compelling. And politicians of all party stripes, and that includes my own party, must come to terms with the part they play in fomenting the worst racial violence in our country's history. And by doing that, they put the clock of nation building back by 1,000,000 years. This is what a friend of mine said, by way of underlining the great tasks involved in picking up the pieces after May 13th. I believe that in our present troubled circumstances, the most important role politicians can play is to identify and examine dispassionately those social, political, and economic causes that can possibly lead to racial disunity, and then set about rectifying them. The government must learn to recognize that these are issues of great national importance, and they must not ignore the role of the opposition parties, the role that we can play in this very critical mission. Now, if there is one thing we can learn from the lessons of 13 May, it is that we all have to be prepared to make substantial adjustments. Because we have a lot of fair weather Malaysians, they can uproot themselves and disappear to greener pastures, and good luck to them. I'm not concerned with these people. I'm more concerned about the rest of us. Malaysians who will be here through good and bad times, either by choice or through force of circumstances. It is for all of us remaining that we must do all we can in the name of justice and common humanity to ensure there will be no justification or excuse whatsoever for a repeat of May 13th. It was a blot that we can do without in our otherwise clean record of race relations. Finally, let us not politicize justice. Think of power. With apologies to my friend Tricia, she said, ingat, ingat, ingat. Let us not politicize justice and policies that unite us. Let us put in trend now those policies that will hasten our search for the kind of national identity that we can relate to with a sense of justifiable pride and loyalty. There can be no substitute for a Malaysian Malaysia. With all that it implies. Not one Malaysia. Any trick out of Najib's bag is going to be a fake. So let not those victims, we're here to talk about being victims, let not those victims of the mindless massacre of May 13 die in vain. Thank you.